Hello friends, this video on triangles part 8 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Before watching this video, please make sure that you have watched part 1 to part 7. We'll take one example. D is parallel to AC. In this figure, D is parallel to AC and DF is parallel to AE. We have to prove that DF by FE is equal to BE by AC. Let's try to understand this problem. DE is parallel to DE, this line is parallel to AC and DF is parallel to AE. So this is parallel to this. Given, we have to prove that DF by FE is equal to BE by AC. So let's assume this is X and this is Y. Because BF by FE is given, so I'll assume X by Y here first. Correct? That is my first thing. BE by AC, BE I'll assume X dash, or I'll assume EC is Y dash, just to make my life simple. Now, when I'm talking about X by Y, I can see that this is part of this triangle ABE. Correct? See, I have to prove this by this. If you see that X by Y, the only thing that comes to our mind is since DF is parallel to AE, X by Y, this will become X0 by Y0 and both are equal. Correct. See, since D is parallel to AE given and this is triangle, in triangle ABE, DF is parallel to A. Therefore, the first thing that comes to our mind is X by Y is equal to X0 by Y. So we'll write this equation. Thales theorem. Now if you see this beauty, this triangle, if you see this ABC, because we have to prove this by this equal to this by this, right? So that means we are talking about in this triangle now. That is BCA. So if you see in this BCA, D is parallel to AC, so we can say that X by Y, X dash by Y dash is equal to X0 by Y0. Correct? X dash by Y dash is equal to X0 by Y0. Why? Because see, we have proved X by Y is equal to X0 by Y0, but we have to prove X by Y is equal to X dash by Y dash. So now we have found that X dash by Y dash is equal to X0 by Y0. Correct? Why? Because in triangle ABC, the bigger triangle, BE by EC is equal to BD by AD. Why? Because B is parallel to AC. Now with these two equations, I can say that X by Y is equal to X dash by Y dash. Instead of X0 Y0, I can say X by dash. And that is what I was supposed to prove. That is VF by FE is equal to E by AC. And that is very simple. Just look at the question, try to understand what they are trying to ask. In this question, I made this XY, this X dash Y dash. The first thing that came to my mind looking at this triangle ABE was X by Y is equal to X0 by Y0. I wrote this. In another triangle, I can see that D is parallel to AC, so X0 by Y0 will be equal to X dash by Y dash. If we hit both the equation, got the answer. Take one example. In the example, DE is parallel to OQ. So I'll say that this line is parallel to OQ. Also, DF is parallel to OR. So I'll say DF is parallel to OR. Correct? We have to prove that EF is parallel to QR. To prove EF is parallel to QR, we have to prove that PE by EQ is equal to PF by FR. Correct? Okay, so I'll say this is X, this is Y, this is X dash, and this is Y dash. So to prove, what did we prove? X by Y is equal to X dash by Y dash. If you prove this, that means EF is parallel to QR. Correct? Now, if you take this triangle, what I am trying to do is to prove this is equal to this by this equal to this by this. We will take some sandwich here, which is common to both the triangles. So if you see that PQO and PFR, this line is common to both the triangles. So first let's take PQ. In PQ, if you see ED is parallel to DU, so we can say that x by y is equal to, let's suppose it's x naught, that is PD is equal to x naught and DO is equal to y naught. Y naught. So we can say that in triangle PEQ, PE by EQ is equal to PD by DO, or x by y is equal to x naught by y naught. Why? Because ED is parallel to DQ. Okay. This is my first equation. In second equation, I'll prove that in triangle POR, PD by DO is equal to PEF by FR, correct? Or PD by DO is x naught by y naught is equal to x dash by y dash. If this is my equation 1, and this is why, because DF is parallel to OR. Since this is my equation 2. If I observe these two equations, right, I can write that x by y is equal to, instead of x naught by y naught, I can write x dash by y dash, and that is what I was supposed to do. So if this is true, that means P by EQ, that is x by y, is equal to PF by FR. If that is true, then in triangle PQR, we can say that EF is parallel to. And what we have done, we have followed the approach of reverse engineering. We were supposed to prove EF is parallel to QR, so we came to conclusion that if we can prove that x by y is equal to x by y dash, we will be able to prove that. To prove that, we took these two triangles, we got this x naught y naught as a sandwich, and we got these two equations and got the answer. Here it is given that AB is parallel to PQ, that is AB is parallel to PQ, AC is parallel to PR, AC is parallel to PR, correct? We have to prove that BC is parallel to QR. Prove this. So what we can do here is, we know that these lines, all these lines AB, these points A, B and C is dividing these OP, OQ and OR. You see, right? So if I say this is X, OA is X, assume the OA is X, PA is Y. So in this triangle, if you see, right, this is line is parallel, both the lines are parallel, so we can apply Thales theorem. So this will become x dash and this will become y dash, correct? Similarly, if you apply Thales theorem in this triangle PQR, these lines are parallel, AC is parallel to PQR, so this becomes, let's suppose, x double dash and this becomes y double dash. What I have done, this is xy, we assume, this is x dash y dash, this is x dash y double dash. First thing, in triangle PQO, AB is parallel to PQ. So I can write x by y is equal to x dash by y dash. This is my first. The second equation I'll write in triangle POC, AC is parallel to PR, RP, PR. So we can write x by y is equal to x double dash by y double dash. So here if you see, right, in these two equations I can see that x dash by y dash is equal to x double dash by y double dash, and that is what I was wanting. Because if I want to prove BC is parallel to QR, I can, if I can prove that x dash by y dash is equal to x double dash by y double dash, that's more than enough for me. If you can prove this, this means BC is parallel to QR. What I have done, I have proved that x by y is equal to x dash by y dash. I have proved that x by y is equal to x double dash by y double dash. Combining these two equations, I can say that x dash by y dash is equal to x double dash by y double dash. or I can write in more formal way, OB by BQ is equal to OC by CR. In this case, if it is true, then I can say that BC is parallel to Q. Correct? What we have done? Very simple. We have taken this triangle. We observed that x by y is equal to x dash y dash. Also, we have observed that x by y is equal to x double dash y double dash. Combining these two, we can prove that x dash by y dash is equal to x double dash y double dash. So that is OB by BQ is equal to OC by QCR, and that means BC is parallel to Q. Very simple. Thank you. Visit examfear.com to watch free educational videos, try free online tests, get the best quality study materials, study from the best tutors and mentors, and much more. Thanks once again.